People make threats in anger all the time. Most of them are what we consider empty threats, scare tactics used to get others to comply with our demands. When someone is angry enough to threaten someone else, they usually eventually cool off and the threat is abandoned. Then, more peaceful negotiations can resume. Sometimes, though, the threat is all too real. Tecumseh is said to have been born in March of 1768 into a Shawnee tribe in Chillicothe, Ohio. I know, I thought this was the Deep South. We're getting there. Tecumseh's life was immediately surrounded by violence and his tribe was constantly at war with colonists who were pushing west. When he was only 6 years old, Tecumseh's father was killed by white settlers. While on his deathbed, his father made him promise to protect his people from the white invasion. From then on, Tecumseh went on to become a skilled warrior and led battles that ended in some of the biggest losses for the American army. At the beginning of the second decade of the 19th century, William Henry Harrison, the then governor of the Indiana Territory, negotiated a treaty that saw the Native Americans ceding much of their land to the American government. Tecumseh told Harrison that he didn't recognize the treaty, and when the governor told him the treaty was valid, the Shawnee chief asked him, quote, "Sell a country? Why not sell the air, the great sea, as well as the earth? Did not the Great Spirit make them all for the use of his children? How can we have confidence in the white people?" It was then that Tecumseh decided that he needed to unite all of the native tribes to fight against the white invasion. In 1811, Tecumseh traveled south to Native American tribes in what is today Oklahoma. He presented to the Choctaw and Chickasaw tribes a plan for reclaiming lands lost to the inexorable advancement of white settlement. He said to them, quote, "Where today are the Pequot? Where are the Narragansett, the Mohican, and other powerful tribes of our people? They have vanished before the avarice and oppression of the white man. Sleep no longer, O Choctaws and Chickasaws. Will not the bones of our dead be plowed up and their graves turned into plowed fields?" Tecumseh envisioned a movement that would put aside ancient rivalries and tribal differences. All would again embrace the old native ways, again showing reverence to the Great Spirit, and would rekindle the traditions of their fathers. Tecumseh's message produced mixed results in the Creek Confederation of the Southeast. His plan directly contradicted the one put in place by the United States government 20 years earlier. The American Civilization Program encouraged Native American assimilation into white ways, especially regarding agriculture. They were sold the idea that this plan would make them peaceful neighbors, when in reality, white settlers wanted to remove hostile obstacles to their plan to take over all the land they could. Tecumseh condemned the adoption of white culture and chastised villages that had embraced it. Angered that the southern tribes were unwilling to fight with him, Tecumseh told them that, if they had not joined him by the time he returned to Detroit, he would stomp his foot and the earth would shake down the great Mississippi, destroying their villages. On December 16, 1811, a series of large earthquakes hit the Mississippi River and shook the area, starting with an 8-magnitude quake at roughly 2:15 a.m. It began as a low but audible rumble below the ground. It grew louder and louder until it seemed to come from everywhere. It was a grating sound that many compared to the sound of 1,000 carriages being driven rapidly across pavement. The earthquake was said to have cracked sidewalks in Washington, D.C., rang church bells in Boston, and swallowed whole forests and villages. It's even reported that the violence caused the Mississippi River to flood so high in some areas that it began to flow backwards for a while. A few hours later, an aftershock that was nearly as strong hit, doing more damage. There were 2 more similar-sized quakes the following January and February. It was years later that scientists would discover the earthquakes were the product of the New Madrid fault line that runs through southern and midwestern states. Despite Tecumseh's mighty foot being believed to have caused the shaking that destroyed so much of the area, it was really a buildup of pressure between the tectonic plates in the Earth's lithosphere. As soon as the pressure released, the ground began to shake. It was likely going to happen whether Tecumseh had stomped his foot or not, but there are still people who believe he caused the earthquake all the same. It's even possible that Tecumseh had heard stories of quakes in the area and thought that his threat might come to fruition regardless and just took a chance. People also believe that Tecumseh's death in 1813 released another curse, this one upon his nemesis, William Henry Harrison. Just 31 days after Harrison was sworn in as U.S. President in 1840, he died, making it the shortest presidential term in U.S. history. Consequently, all U.S. presidents who were elected in years ending in a 0 for the next 120 years would die in office, many assassinated. In 1840, William Henry Harrison died of illness. Elected in 1860, Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. Elected in 1880, James A. Garfield was assassinated. Elected in 1900, William McKinley was assassinated. Elected in 1920, Warren G. Harding died of a heart attack. Elected in 1940, Franklin D. Roosevelt died of a cerebral hemorrhage. Elected in 1960, John F. Kennedy was assassinated. It's also notable that Ronald Reagan, elected in 1980, was nearly killed in an assassination attempt, and George W. Bush, elected in 2000, also was targeted in an assassination attempt. Whether or not Tecumseh's mighty foot was able to cause an earthquake in the Native American tribes in Oklahoma, or it was merely a coincidence, is up to the individual to decide. Just remember to never ignore a threat, because no matter how unlikely you think it is to happen, you never know when the ground might start to shake. Thanks for letting us tell you this sinister story. If you enjoyed it, subscribe on whatever platform you're on, and hit like, rate it, or leave a comment. Join us next week when we'll take you somewhere sinister.